actually on mindset, so it works out pretty well.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say, like, a lot of people when they get out there, they get their face kicked in, and they're like completely switch their attitude from when they're in right here, right now, because everybody's like super pumped up, like level 100 motivation, and then you get out indoors and it drops about a 70, and then you get told no 2 times and it's at a 50. You can't let like your motivation change at all. And at the end of the day, it's not about motivation. It's about just doing the work, regardless if you're motivated or not. Because you're not going to be motivated every day, and I can promise you that. No matter how many inspirational videos you watch, you can watch them, and then you get out there and you're not going to be the motivation's very, very temporary. So when you guys get out there, I'll drop people off and I'll see them. And like I usually pull up. I try and pull up when I'm doing drop off to a house that has a car in the driveway, so that way you don't have to walk anywhere. You can get your day started right away. And I'll see people walk past the damn car that I just dropped them off at, and walk like 4 houses down, as if that house has like a magic sign like in front of, like, come knock me. Like, there's a house right here that you completely just missed. And then when you get back to that house later on, there's like a large chance that they're not even home anymore. And so you missed that opportunity in the day, and that could have been your sale, and that could have been the sale that, like, your first door could have been a sale, which just completely shifts your whole day, and now it's positive. So just because you didn't go knock that first door, you didn't get to sell your first door, and now your whole day is going to crap because you missed your sale throughout the day. And now instead of getting 3 in a day because you got your first door, you're getting 0 in a day because you couldn't find one, and you didn't have anything to build off of. So make sure you guys are hitting that first door, and regardless of how stupid it seems, like, literally just like try and get to that door as fast as possible. I've talked about it before. Like, I feel like a Segway helps me because, like, whenever I was walking, like, it gives you a lot more time to just have conversations in your head. When you're segwaying, there's only like 4 seconds you have to think about how terrible your day is before somebody's opening the door again, and you have to be ready to go. So, like, not only does, I would suggest everybody gets a Segway, because not only do you get to knock more doors in a day because you're getting to each door faster, it's easier to keep your mindset better. You're not super hot, you don't lose your energy, and
automatic
cool icebreaker. Yeah, exactly. So there's like a ton of reasons. I mean, and you're like, oh, it's $800. Well, it's like,
it's an investment.
It's like, if you get one extra sale throughout the entire summer because you got the Segway paid itself off, and now you just got a free Segway basically.
First day I ever got 4, first day with the Segway.
Yeah, it's just investing in yourself. Like I've seen people, like, we just went up to the LSU game this weekend. It was a blast, but like we all spent like over $200 on our tickets and didn't think about it. We're like, oh, let's go have fun, $200, and that was just to go blow money, and that's not counting anything we paid for while we were out there. So we probably spent like $500 while we were out there. And it's like, but it's like, all right, we'll get a Segway. They're like, well, it's $800 when we get back here. It's like, well, who gives a damn? It's like, you just spent $500 on an LSU game, go get a goddamn Segway, and you'll make more money. So that's just one bit of advice. But a lot, like, yeah. So when you get out there, it's not about your mindset. It's about taking action, and that's kind of that point. But all the top producers will produce every day, and it's not because they wake up and feel amazing and can't wait to work. It's because as soon as they get out there, they put the emotions to the side and start working. So like Kyle said, like, coincidentally, all of our top guys have injuries for some reason. So, but it just shows you, it's just like, it has nothing to do with how you feel or the condition you're in, or if you wake up feeling good or not. It's they sell every day regardless of how they're feeling. So I hope that makes you feel worse about yourself.
I was gonna say, I don't know whoever follows me on Instagram, there's a pretty good Arnold quote. I was watching this documentary on Netflix, and at the very end of it, and like, I don't know how much y'all know about Arnold or anything about him at all, but like, migrated from Austria with absolutely nothing, like showed up here by himself, and told himself he wanted to be a professional bodybuilder, became Mr. Universe at 21 years old. Did that and was like, all right, F this, I want to be an actor now. Okay, cool. I'm an actor now, and I'm in every major movie in the 80s that ever was produced with a gun and somebody dying. Okay? I'm the guy. All right, F this. Now I want to be the governor. Like, what the hell? He becomes the governor, right? And at the end of it, the quote was, he says his dad used to tell him, he said, when you focus on being useful, rather than how you feel, then that's when you get things done. It doesn't matter if you feel happy, if you feel crappy, if you feel kind of good, you feel kind of sad. It doesn't matter. You're not going to change the world feeling sad. You're not going to change the world feeling happy. What changes the world is doing things.
So what's the quote?
The short version of that was, it doesn't matter if you feel shitty or happy. You got to focus on being useful. But that's mine right there.
Sir.
But yeah, so make sure you guys are being useful. Because you only have one life, so you can either waste it or use it to the fullest. Yeah.
Well, doing this for 5 years now, guys, I can remember that, like my rookie summer, like it feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
Literally, because I know a lot of, like, oh, I have a whole life ahead of you. It's gonna go fast. And if you make a habit right now, that habit's gonna stick with you. And I don't want any of you guys to have that. I want this experience to be like, I did everything I could, I pushed as hard as I can, and then you can feel proud of yourself at the end of it. Because that's what's gonna be super valuable for you guys. I'm sorry, good.
No, I'm good. But yeah, even if you have the best mindset, the best hood, you're the best trained, if you aren't applying yourself when you're getting out there, like it doesn't matter how good you are. Like if Nate goes and sits on a bench, he's not gonna sell. Regardless of how good he is at selling. Like if you're not putting in the hours, like there's days where Nate has none and then at 9 o'clock we'll have one. It's not because he was waiting for everybody to, like it's not like he's just sitting there and he's like at 9 o'clock, oh I just started knocking. No, he was knocking all day and for 6.5 hours people were telling him no. And you don't hear Nate complain ever about how everyone was being mean to him or any bullshit like that. Like when I get home, everybody's like, oh, this person told me this person told me this. Like, I don't think I've ever heard Nate tell me one story about how terrible somebody was to him. Like,
Never heard Ron complain about hood one time in my entire life.
Yeah, not a single time. It's fantastic. It's a good rep right there.
Good reps.
But yeah. And then another thing is, don't knock to knock. You need to be knocking to sell, because a lot of times we'll get out there, we'll get in robot mode, and we'll just be going from each door to each door, just kind of repeating the same thing over, just like it's like nobody wants to talk to a robot. Like you need to be looking at every house with intent to sell them. Like when I walk up to a house, like a lot of houses, like I can just feel like I'm about to sell these people, and a lot of times I do. Like I'll sell that person, it's just because I have that feeling, and the feeling, like when you can learn to replicate that feeling on every house, that's when you become the top salesman. The reason I sell those people has nothing to do with because their house looks like that, I'm gonna sell them. It has everything to do with like, I can just picture, I feel like I've been at this house before and I can just picture where the sign's gonna go. I can picture where the cameras are gonna go. I can picture where I'm gonna walk to. So like, regardless of what the house looks like, size, quality, anything like that, you need to be picturing like where you're gonna be putting the sign before you walk up to the door. Like when you're driving past the house and you see an ADT sign, you're like, wow, that sign looks good. Like when you walk up to the door, you need to be like looking intently on where you think that sign's gonna go, because when you start to have preconceived notions that the sign's gonna be going right there, like it translates into your conversation, and they can feel like how confident you are, and then you're gonna be more likely to sell them. So, yeah, intend on selling everyone, and when you walk up to the door, visualize everything. So, another thing is you guys need to think of it as a long game. You can't get stuck in the mindset that just because you didn't sell one day, you can't sell at all, or just because I didn't sell this guy, nobody else in the neighborhood wants the system, or anything like that, because you'll get one person tell you no, and then you're like, oh, well this whole street doesn't want it. And you're like, well if that whole street doesn't want it, then nobody in my neighborhood wants it. Nobody in my neighborhood wants it, I just can't sell. And then it just snowballs effects into like, oh, I'm somebody that sits at the bottom because I can't do good. But it's like, if you take advantage of each door and take care of the small things, it snowballs effects into like something very big where you're putting up 200 accounts, 300 accounts, 400 accounts. Brady's not magic. We've seen his pitch, and it's literally the exact same thing we're saying. He just works a lot harder and is a lot more diligent. So, but yeah. So think of it as a long game. Like I feel like a lot of people around 7:30 or 8 o'clock begin to check out mentally, and the sun doesn't go down until at least 9 o'clock. So every day, like if you're stopping at 8 o'clock and you're like, wow, well I worked all the way from 8 o'clock, I'm proud of myself. Like, well, there's still an hour you missed out on. And an hour, let's just say you only have 10 conversations in an hour, and we're out here for like 125 days. That's almost 1,500 doors, over 1,000 doors that were, or not even 1,000 doors, we're talking, but 1,000 conversations were missing. Like, if you were to guess how many sales you were to get if you had a 1,000 full conversations with somebody, you'd probably sell one out of every, you'd probably get 100 deals out of 1,300 conversations. You'd probably get 100 deals. So, like, just from you missing out on that 1 hour, you're probably missing about 100 accounts that you could have had just from skipping that 1 hour. Like, it's just math. Like, you guys gotta break down the math with, like, and figure out how many doors you usually talk to how many you sell, because, like, if you're going out there and you're like I said, giving up at 8, there's an hour you're missing, you typically talk to at least 10 people in an hour. 10 people times 120, that's 1,200. Out of 1,200 people, you're gonna sell at least 50 accounts. At least 50 accounts out of 1,200. So that's 50 accounts on top of whatever you have. So I mean, if you want you to have 50 more sales from where you're at just right now, literally just work that last hour, and you'll see a 50, like, you'll see 50 more sales. So if you have 10 sales, you'll see a 500% increase just from working that last hour. So yeah.
I was just gonna say, and not all the hours are created equal, because you can sell anyone at any hour, but like just statistically the reality is like from 2:30 to 5, people who are home, what demographic is that mostly? Old people, retirees, or sometimes super rich people. And so, but there's less people to sell. When does like 50–60% of the neighborhood get home, guys? After 6, like after 7. And so it's like, you know, if you're discouraged, oh, I've been out since like 2:30 to like 6 and I haven't sold anyone. Yeah, no shit, like most of the neighborhood isn't even at home yet. So it's like you're giving up at the most important part.
Do you guys watch podcasts today? No. So Sean talks about in the podcast, like he's like, hey, from like 1 to 4, don't burn out and let your gears, don't be in high gear in that time. Like cruise through, look for the signs of life, build your neighborhood up, street sheet, close them, name drop, crime drop, learn all that stuff. And then you have to be able to kick into gear from 6 to 9, from 5 to 9, right? So don't burn yourself out, you're absolutely dead dog tired when it's time to sit down and do big boy stuff and close, right?
No such thing as burning out.
Yeah. Don't spin your wheels and get frustrated at yourself. Don't let your mental psyche burn out and get frustrated. So do the job, close the deals, look for deals, but yeah, like, learn how to shift into gears, you know?
Good.
Exactly.
Cool.
Sorry. What I found to be really money that's like changed a lot in the past like month for me is just when you get out there, like it's a brand new neighborhood, look for the ADT signs, find people who already have us, and it's so money, they can give you so many name drops. Yeah. And just use that to your advantage all day. Yeah. Because name drops work, dude. Name drops work.
Like
so
crazy.
I
signed up the mailman in my area, which like this is probably the best like name, because so he lived outside of the neighborhood, but he would drive like 20 minutes to get to his route, and so he was like, screw it, I'm buying a house on my route. So now he lives on his mail route, and so he knows literally every neighbor. And so like my name, I know everybody probably knows their mailman, so I would just name drop the mailman every time. I'm like, you know your. Because they'll be completely telling me no, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I was just wondering if you know your mailman Isaiah. And they're like, what does that have to do with anything you're about to talk about? Like, how could this have anything to do with what you're about to talk about? And they'll always answer, oh, like, yeah, I know Isaiah. I'll be like, oh, perfect, yeah, he's super nice. He actually lives right there on Honka. They're like, oh, I didn't know he lives that close. And now we're just, like, they completely forgot they were telling me no because I just threw Isaiah, the mailman, completely out of left field. And, like, now we're having a conversation about Isaiah. So I'm super thankful for Isaiah because he has no clue how many times I've talked about him. Last 5 days. I probably said his name like 500 times and he has no clue. So.
You told that ADT guy.
But the money behind that is they have to see Isaiah every day, and if they think that Caleb's friends with them, they can't be mean to Caleb because they don't want Isaiah to think that they're a dick.
Yeah.
So it's just like, ultimate trump card.
Yeah. To try and find the mailman in everyone. That's the suggestion I got.
If we're talking about mindset for sure and discipline, I feel like is the key to Caleb's training here. Discipline doesn't start with this job. How you do one thing is how you do all things. It's 100%. And the gym has 100% molded my life. to that discipline. 125%. Mike used to make fun of me all the time. He's like, dude, how are you excited to go to the gym every day? And I'm like, I don't even know at this point. It's just, I'm just excited to go there every day. It's 1 hour a day I get to just like be a freaking man for an hour, right? And then like, yeah, there's a ton of days where I don't feel like being there. Caleb works out with me every day now. And it's like, there's days I show up and I'm like, hey, I don't really want to be here, but we're gonna make it quick, and we're gonna do it. And we still push the same weight. We throw it up.
He's like, I feel like crap today.
But we're gonna push this weight. We're gonna be men. And we're gonna push this weight.
It's a bad day to be awake.
It's a bad day to be awake. It's gonna be around. And
Exact same.
And, like when Caleb decides he wants to skip, I text him and call him a weenie, and like 3 or 4 times. So he knows that when he doesn't go, he's being a weenie today.
Yeah.
Same thing with Colin. Colin's gonna roll with us too, but it's how you do one thing is how you do all things, and it translates from one thing to another. So I strongly encourage that you have something that it doesn't matter how crappy you feel today outside of work, show up to it. Whether that's the Bible study, whether that's the waking up and go walking around, whether that's wake up and go to a coffee shop that you haven't seen, like whatever that morning, read a book, it doesn't matter. Like wake up and do something that like is gonna make you feel a little bit uncomfortable when you
Waking up and sitting on a couch as a routine isn't a good one. So find something that
It's a good one to
will
bagel.
get you moving. Yeah, it's a good one to bagel. But if you want to sell, like get out of the apartments. Like we're here all the time. Like get out of the apartments and go do something away from where you're always at. It'll make you feel like you've done something other
Enjoy the
in your
damn
day.
self.
Like it'll make you feel like you're actually having a life, because like all I do is work. Yeah, because you don't do shit in the morning when you have time to do something, because you're crying about how you're tired. Well, no shit, you're tired because your body's used to being lazy, and so it's just like a continual effect of like bad habits that just spiral. Like the reason I like to work out, obviously I don't like look great, so it's not about that. But it's just the fact that. Not yet, but it's just the fact. It's just the fact that like even if I go out there and I work all day and I don't get a sale, at least I worked out today. So it's like at least I benefited my life in some form today. Like if you're not gonna get 5% better, get 4% better. If you're not gonna get 4%, 3%. If you're not gonna get 3, 2, not 2, 1. So like the way I look at it is if I go to the gym today and I bagel, it's like, well, that still sucks, and I'm still gonna be pissed off. But at least, like in the back of my head, I know, like, oh, at least I got to work out today. And it's like, and it's
work out with us. It's pretty funny too. Like if you could be around, Colin's around for it sometimes too. But like, oh, dude, don't short yourself a rep. I will make you push that weight back up. And it's like, no, you keep going until I tell you to stop.
yeah.
So
So
it's like you're gonna be 5% better today.
yeah. So that's all I gotta really say. But like, there's an opportunity out there every day to sell. So make sure you're playing the long game. Visualize yourself being out there longer than you'd think you'd ever do. And then if you think that's hard, then keep going after that. Like whatever point you think is hard and like that's your goal, well, it's probably not good enough anyway.
One more.
So keep going.
One more.
Like there's not many people that I would say drop pins, and there's not many people that I'll see like kind of running from the van. But like Banks, every time I pick him up, he's running from the van. Like Cam, always Ron, Corey, Cam, Ron, Banks, and Corey. Every time I go and pick them up, they're not all in my van right now, but every time I do have them in my van, they'll send me a pin, and they'll be about 500 feet from where their pin is, because like I'm like, where the hell is Banks? And he's like behind a wall on a porch, and then like I'll see his satellite, I'm like, oh, there he is. Like and yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like I feel like everybody should be out there doing the exact same thing. Because if you get in the van like, oh, I had a terrible day, and you're standing on the corner when I'm coming to pick you up, well, I don't feel bad for you at all, because, I mean, however long it took me to get you there, probably 20 minutes before I got to pick you up, like, you could have been knocking at least 5 more doors. Like, I went to go pick up Cam yesterday, and I didn't get out, I didn't do pickup till pretty late yesterday. It was like pitch black, and so when I got to Cam, he was the first person I picked up. He was like, where is everybody? And he was pissed off that he was the first one that had to be picked up. Like he was pissed off. He was like, he was like hesitant to tell me like, can you just go pick everybody else up? Because he was like, damn it, like why why did I have to be picked up first? Like
Time
that's
to
the
get
type.
like 9:30, 9:40, something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that, and he was like still pissed off that he was
What a
first
dog.
one picked up. So it's like that's how everybody's mindset needs to be, and then that's why you've seen Cam probably jump 10 names in the past 3 weeks.
Cam's been gapping for real.
You've just been gapping, like
Cam.
yeah. So I mean, Cam's getting ready to be in that top 10, and so that's what I'm ready to see. But the reason we get paid a lot in the job is because it's not easy. You got to keep pushing yourself, even when the pins have been knocked. So I mean, dropped. So yeah, let's just go ahead and make some money today.
Who in here feels like we can't hit 15 every day? Raise your hand right now if you don't think we can hit 15. Well, you just screwed yourself, because if we don't have 15, we're gonna do a meeting an hour early every single day. We have to hit 15 every single day,
So-
or else we're gonna go early.
We do that
So
easily.
that's how we're gonna do it.
It's not even like 15 shouldn't even be a goal. Like
So
Let's go.
that's the bad news. Now the good news, okay? So you had a lot of bad news today. You can change right now. What you did in the past doesn't define you. One of the craziest, most hardworking guys ever is David Goggins. You guys ever listen to his podcast? That dude, like 300 pounds, told himself he wanted to go on a run. He ran 500 feet and came back and quit and got a milkshake that day, right? Like that was him, like basically like knocking the first door and sitting on the curb. Now he's well known as the hardest, most disciplined man on the entire planet. Has done huge accomplishments, like huge feats. You can start today, right now, when you go out there and you can redefine, like, even if you were like, you know, towards the bottom of the board, you're not hitting your goals, right now you can change your future and start working towards the goals and towards the man that you want to become. Right now you can do that. So you have a chance today to change that. So be urgent about that, right? And be excited to have that opportunity. Because most people, bro, it don't matter. At Walmart, you clock in, they're gonna pay you the same thing. You sit behind a desk every single day, you don't have the opportunity to get uncomfortable. We have the opportunity every single day to better ourselves because we do something that's hard. So there's value in that.
yeah,
So-
you gotta really like picture who you want to be, because like whenever you figure out like the lifestyle, like don't even think like just think about people that you're like, wow, that's a cool life. Like whatever life you see that's out there, like whether it doesn't matter what it is, if it's an athlete, a businessman, a painter, a hairdresser, like